Today I finally got time to talk about the actual comparison of the China 35mm f2, the replica of the Leica 35mm Summicron version 1 lens, and the original copy of the Leica 35mm Summicron version 1. And I actually took my M240p to take the picture, and I mounted the camera on the tripod, and I removed all the filters from all these two lenses, and I removed the hood as well to have a direct comparison and also to have the actual performance of these two lenses to show. And before I get started, I actually want to talk about another feature. So this one, because this one is 35mm Summicron, and original focusing tab is like this one, has a infinity lock. And Henry Bresson, who is a very famous photographer, actually likes to shoot with his lenses in the winter time, so he actually wears gloves. That's why he ordered one lens from Leica factory to mount this kind of focusing tab, which was only produced for only one lens. So that one was very limited. And for when the Chinacron was made, they actually made a 200 pieces limited edition, which is this one, and to make a replica of Henry Bresson's actual lens, and as a tribute. And I noticed that I actually shooted my M2 with this lens yesterday with my gloves on. It's very, very easy to operate, and the focusing is very smooth and very fast. It is very, very convenient. So this lens is actually becoming one of my favorite lenses now, and I actually use it with the 12504 lens hood, which is my favorite. This lens I actually took it from my Leica 35mm f1.4 version 2 lens. And that lens is famous for its Leica glow. And also, I noticed a major difference between the actual original lens and the replica lens is the focusing ring. This one feels more like a modern lens. And the focusing procedure is actually very similar, and it's very smooth for both of the lenses. And this one is the replica. Okay, now let's see the original one. So the clicks are actually more obvious. And this one is an L39 version. I don't have the M mount version of it. I only have a 35mm Chinacron, which is 35 f2.8. This lens has similar look of the Leica 8 element, which is 35mm Summicron version 1. And this lens has been serviced, so you can hear the click is a little bit smoother. And every actual stop has a click sound of it, but not the replica lens. And also, I talked to the original designer of this lens when they were actually making a lens different from the original copy. Back then, they don't have computers. So when they want to have certain performance on the MTF diagram, they need to just use the mathematic formulas to calculate, and they don't have computers, so it's not very, very accurate. And once they are making this replica lens, they use a computer to measure the performance of the original lens and use that MTF diagram to make the new lens. So it's much more accurate. And I'm going to show you guys some pictures, and you're going to notice that the vignetting of the replica lens is actually more obvious than the original one. I guess it's because they want to copy that feeling of the original lens, but they did it a little bit too much, so the vignetting is a bit more than the original one. But the one I'm taking picture from the dark areas, and if I have like a highlighting area from far behind, and you can see there are actually more details on the replica lens. And I'm going to show you guys the pictures. That's it for now. So now we start to look at the actual pictures that I took. The center sharpness is actually very similar, and the very obvious difference that I noticed is actually the vignetting on the corners. The Chinacron is having much more vignetting than the original copy. I mean the original Leica lens. And the center sharpness is actually very similar, and you can see a bit of Leica glow. So and when I took this picture, the very obvious difference that I noticed is actually the color tone. So the Chinacron is much colder, and the original lens is warmer. And also from far behind, you can notice there are more highlighting details on the Chinacron lens. And the shape of the bokeh, all those circles, they are actually a little bit different between these two lenses. And this is how I took all these pictures. And here's at f2.8. So the color tone difference is still very obvious, and also the vignetting, you can notice the Chinacron has much more. And here comes f4. Center sharpness, they are around the same level. And still you can notice the obvious vignetting and color tone difference. And also more details on the highlighting part for the Chinacron lens. Here's f5.6. It's already getting very sharp. And the difference for vignetting is becoming actually very unnoticeable now. And here's another set of pictures that I took. At f2 and f2.8, the vignetting is actually very, very obvious, even on the original Leica lens. At f2, you can see if I just took a picture of infinity, the vignetting is very obvious. But at f2.8, it's already getting much better than the Chinacron lens. But overall, I actually like the Chinacron lens, and because it's almost identical from the look of it and also from the pictures, just the vignetting is a bit more. That's the only part I don't like about it. So as I mentioned before, when I took all these pictures, I actually mounted my camera onto a tripod, and the only variable factor is the lens. And when I took all those pictures, I set at the same shutter speed, the same ISO, same white balance. So everything is all the same. And also every time I took the comparison photos, I also set at exactly the same aperture. So the only difference is the glass of these two lenses. And after watching all these videos and also pictures, which lens do you guys prefer better? For myself, the reason for keeping this original lens is definitely because it's an L39 version, so it's a bit more rare, and also I use it to take a lot of important pictures for myself. So this one is definitely a keeper for me. And for this lens here, original thought when I want to buy this, I just want a black version of the 35mm Summicron lens, which is very, very expensive. So I consider about painting this one into black. And while I was searching, I found this lens here. And I was thinking the lens was not that expensive, and I can have another lens with exactly the same look, and also it's a black one. So I just want to give it a try. And now I notice that the actual optical performance is very good. And also I get addicted to this focusing tab. I think this one is going to be mounted on my camera like all the time. I'm going to put the original one back into my shelf where the other cameras and lenses are all at. I'm going to shoot with this one more just because it's so convenient. And also while I'm shooting with my Leica M2, I don't use the large apertures all the time. I use the f4 to f8 most often. So the difference is not that obvious, and also the size of the lens is very tiny, which is exactly as this original one. So it's very convenient. So if you guys ask me which one I'm going to keep, I'm going to say I'm going to keep the both because this one is rare, that one is convenient. Thank you so much for watching, and if you guys have any other questions, let me know, and I will try my best to answer all the questions. Thank you so much.